Bob
Doesn't have a cell phone.
Order,
It's going to be
order.
hard to get in touch with.
Whoa.
Order. I don't want to have to swing this thing again.
Welcome into Dumb Drafts, the show where we believe that everything is worth drafting. It's a great show. We have a fantastic lineup ready for you today. It's a proverbial list of all-stars here on Dumb Drafts. As the maestro returns, we'll start off with Kyle Scott. You can find him on Twitter somewhere. Kyle.
Cheers. Can I go first?
No. Let's go off to the machine. He's rested, recharged. His batteries have been recharged and refueled. Kevin Kincaid.
It's great to be with you again. I just hope that people follow the rules this time. We did summer beers the last time, and we had people drafting sours and IPAs and all kinds of stuff that nobody drinks in the summer. So let's get it back to following the rules this time.
Glad to know that he's come back just as salty as ever. Bob Wankel, the man who ran the site last week. Bob.
Yeah, just trying to recharge my batteries here. Trying to defend my victory from the fantastic beer list that I was able to put together, and just really excited to come in here and kick some ass again today, man.
Crossing Broad temporarily reverted to a baseball site for a week.
And a returning member of the crew, Coggin himself. Coggin Toboggan, how are you?
Russell, thank you for having me on again. 1-0 in the Dumb Draft season. Let's make it 2-0 with a subject near and dear to my heart, Philadelphia Sports Talk Radio.
Since it's not beer, I've decided that I'll hop back into the fray here. But of course, the man that we have to make our ultimate case to is none other than Phil Keidel, who is decked out in his judging finest. That's Phil Keidel, Keidel. It's not hard to spell. It's Phil Keidel. Judge Keidel, are you
First
ready?
of all, I want to make it known that I'm not actually a judge. I am donning the robe in a ceremonial way for entertainment purposes only. I don't want to lose my law license over this. But I do have this going for me. I hold all of you in some form of contempt, so I think I'm ready to go.
He's also an actual litigator, so he should be well versed in our pleas.
So let's get things started. Unlike typical weeks where we actually pull the wheel up and we do that, we had a lot of time because the judge himself was a little bit tardy. And I know that I'm probably throwing myself out here out of being in contention by calling out the judge, but we've already done the wheel ahead of time. And the way that it worked out is as follows. I somehow ended up with the first pick. Kevin ended up with the second pick. Bob is third. Kyle is fourth. And Coggin's got that wonderful fifth spot where he'll pick not only fifth, but also sixth in the snake draft. Now, the rules are simple. We're going to draft 5 Philadelphia radio personalities. All-time radio personalities. We're not allowed to repeat any of them. At the end of the draft, we will designate each of those hosts as being part of a morning show, an afternoon show, and an evening show. You're allowed to pair them up. You're allowed to have somebody do a solo show. You could, of course, take 3 of them and put them on one show if you so choose. But there are no repeats allowed. So without further ado, I would like to, I guess I got to get this thing started. And who do I go with? Do I go with the worldwide leader? Do I go with a guy who, asks you to Google him? No, I don't. I'll tell you who I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with somebody. I'm so excited. I'm going to go with somebody who I think would be an excellent person to draft. And I'll go with somebody who's got plenty of fans across the city. I'm going to take Glenn Macnow, number 1.
Wow.
Plus 300.
Wow.
Solid pick.
Well, I'm
Jack
gonna
of all trades.
I'm gonna follow suit with somebody who suitably is not. I'm not into hot take. Say a bunch of stuff you don't believe radio. I'm going to go with somebody else who is a true professional. Who garners a lot of respect in the Delaware Valley. I'm going to go with Ray Didinger.
Wow.
See, Kevin's pandering here, though. He knows everybody who's watching this loves Ray Didinger. The problem is Ray's not going to work 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. He doesn't even drive, right? Ray's a good guy, knows his stuff, but he's a once a week guy, right? He's
Well,
like
let's
hold
off.
Listen, I think Kevin might have screwed the pooch on this one, though, because by virtue of that pick, he has effectively split up any possibility of Glenn and Ray together. So maybe Kevin's actually the heel.
Well, let's
Let's
wait.
go to Bob.
Let's wait for what the judge has to say. I don't care what you guys say. Right?
Bob,
doesn't have a cell phone. It's going to be hard to get in touch with.
Oh,
Order. I don't need the litigants here commenting on picks, 2 picks into the first round.
Thank
Can we
you.
at least get through the first round? I don't want to have to swing this thing again. All right, what's the third pick?
All right, the third pick here kind of pains me to do this, but when you're talking about the king of Philadelphia sports talk radio, it's Angelo Cataldi, man. I mean, it is. The guy is kind of turned into a character. He doesn't believe half the stuff he says. He plays to the lowest common denominator, but the dude's been doing it for multiple decades. He's an absolute ratings beast. And when he actually is on and wants to use his journalistic background, he gives a really good interview too. To me, third overall, it's an absolute slam dunk, lights out pick, Angelo Cataldi.
Yeah, that's like Giannis sliding. Excellent pick. Got to do it.
Sliding
Kyle,
to
you're
3 to number 3.
Yeah, I mean, he's the consensus number 1. He
God.
really is. I'd be like Greg Oden going third somehow in that draft. Just doesn't make any sense. Might be old, might be a little hobbled, but you got to do it. Yeah, look, going to get Mike Missanelli. Easy. I mean, he's got staying power across 2 stations, right?
Yeah.
He's going to stroke his ego. I know it. I appreciate his cameo. Congratulations on the sale of the business. Thank you, Mike. Thank you. I'm sure it was $30 well earned to congratulate me. But yeah, you got to do it. Staying power across WIP. Probably would have been there longer if he didn't punch his producer. And then he's been at 97.5 for a decade plus. Continues to do well in the rankings, takes on all comers, and is Teflon against every sort of suspension and controversy thrown his way because he is the entire station. So, yeah, got to do it. Mike Missanelli. He's a good radio host. I don't know what to say.
doesn't that work against him though? That there's so many issues. Like if you're talking about chemistry in a station, isn't that somewhat worrisome? No.
It's like what Bob said. He does give a pretty good interview, right? And he's able to hold an audience and he's able to speak with some authority and not play the fanboy card. And he's ahead of the wave. You got to take him in the first round.
Okay. Coggin, you've got the critical 5th pick. Don't do 5th and 6th. We want to get our first round grades. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Well, I mean, you can only pick one man to round out the first round. Bo, it's the Cuz coming in at number 5. The other crown jewel of the Viking funeral pyre that is 97.5, the Fanatic. He's had success on WIP. He's had success on the Fanatic. He's everyone that you talk to. He is a genuine guy, genuine Philly guy. He actually, I actually enjoyed his Sixers coverage of the playoffs this year. He's usually very gung ho about their chances, but he really kind of he really pulled back the curtain on his fandom, and he gave his listeners some harsh truths. So I got to go with the Cuz at number 5.
All right, so let's go to Judge Keidel. Your Honor, where are we standing so far after one round?
Being absolutely honest, these are probably the correct 5 selection, although I don't know if they're necessarily in the correct order. But I think we're off to a very good start.
Okay. Cog, without further ado, second round. First pick of the second round, you select.
All right. I'm going to go with the latest WIP darling and the man that is dominating the afternoons. I'm going to go John Marks. Wow. He is the next big thing at WIP.
Johnny Marks.
A little bit of a reach early in the second round.
He is the next big thing at WIP. After Angelo, who do you got on the station? You're not going to hand over the keys to anything of importance to, no offense to Camera or John Ritchie, but John Marks and his partner, because everyone knows it's Ike Reese, but I'm sure he'll be picked later. They're the man. They are the man, I should say, in the afternoons for WIP. So John Marks is my man in the second round.
Smart. Marks also had that, the morning stint with 97.5. He's versatile, and he's done middays. Okay, Cog, I see that. I get it.
There's such a deep pool of people to pull from historically. Yeah. I like John. This isn't a knock on John. It's just a little bit of a reach right now.
Little Reese.
Kyle, we come back to you. Let's see who Kyle would have gone with, I guess, had he been in that spot. Kyle, go ahead.
Josh Innes.
Wow.
Josh Innes.
Interesting. Talk about a reach.
Yeah, I was hoping he would drop a few rounds. My goodness.
He should have been one of the last 3 picks as a value shock jock.
Look, are we going for entertainment these days? He was the one guy who was able to unseat, along with John Marks, from the ratings, my number 1 overall pick. So you got to do it.
Yeah, but there's an issue there with overexposure. I think Cog will understand this. Like, this is a guy that like you could have at best as a seasonal guy. Like, he's fine if you were going to do. Well, I don't want to give you strategy here, but like,
we'll see. I have a master plan. Just keep going.
I think
you'll see it all.
Insane.
I will say I like that pick just because I've always said his show was pretty much a failure in the city, but I give him all the credit in the world for actually trying something different outside of the normal format of talk shows in this city. He actually tried a different format and it didn't work all that well towards the end, but he had the balls to try anything different than the tried and true format of topic caller, topic caller, topic caller.
See, I think I would keep him in his box, right? If he is not so into himself and defending himself and elevating every internet troll into like a 15-minute discourse on the radio, that's his biggest problem. He couldn't get out of his own way. If he would stick to and be goofy, be silly, be everything that he is, but like stick to like some sort of an actual show versus like always dragging into the mud and trying to be Howard Stern. I think if I could put guardrails on him, I think he can have success in the time slot I envision for him.
If only Donald Trump could stop tweeting and just focus on I feel like this is the same kind of thing. You can't change the zebra stripes. All right, Bob.
Real quick question before I make this pick. Are we like, if we were building the station out today, like starting tomorrow, I'm hiring these people here and now, or am I taking their all-time clout and profile? Because that's really going to dictate my next pick.
Yeah, it's like in a video game when you could choose like the all-timers, like you usually get them at their apex.
Oh, I know where Bob's going.
Okay, then I've got to do this. I sit next to the man at Phillies games.
Oh my God.
Miserable person, but I've actually come to weirdly enjoy him. We're gonna go Howard Eskin.
What?
Howard.
I love that pick.
The king.
The king.
It's ass you are.
No, listen.
I picked you.
In all honesty, no. Actually, I don't even think Howard knows who I am. I've talked to him about 45 times, and honestly, I feel like I have to reintroduce myself every time I meet him. But I'll tell you, like Howard Eskin right now on Saturday mornings. Not a good radio show. Brutal radio show. Is brutal to use his word. Back in the day, though, growing up, I'm in high school 15, 20 years ago. He's doing drive time radio. Love him or hate him or whatever you felt about him. I mean, dude, again, was a ratings monster and was a lightning rod.
My favorite was how we did. Sorry, Kyle. My favorite was how we did the story ranking the top 10 best callers and top 10 worst callers. And Jim from Havertown was ranked the number 1 worst. So he called Eskin in the morning and he said, "Do you know Kevin Kincaid from Crossing Broad?" And Howard said, "No, I don't know who that is." And then he said, "Crossing Broad is the most insignificant website out there." And then we were acquired by the new company and are doing very well since then. So I think Howard.
Wonder if Howard needs a loan for his next Lexus.
Right.
I wasn't gonna say. I was gonna let you kind of take it from there, but yeah, that's a good sound. But I saved that one.
Yeah, and if you ever get into a fist fight at Ribbit, he'll have your back. That's for sure. or if you need somebody to send roses to a female listener.
No,
I
think that's too soon.
No,
I think it's too soon for that one.
Decades ago, the statute of limitations is well over with that one.
Well, listen, so I'm up next, right? Okay. I feel like this is going to be kind of a controversial pick because this individual has some, I guess what you would call character issues. There were some red flags that caused him to drop a little bit, but he is a Philadelphia and national radio legend. And, I feel like I'm going to take a gamble with the character issues, and I'm going to go ahead and on a What Up Wednesday, I'm going to select Tony Bruno.
God damn it!
Wow.
God damn it! Damn you! Damn. Okay.
I assume we're getting Tony at his apex and not in his QAnon phase.
Yeah, we're gonna go like Apex Tony and not the Donald
Like-
Trump.
Like Madden, what up Wednesday, Tony?
Yeah, Jose from Norristown calling in that version of Tony Bruno.
Super.
And
Is
into
Jose
the night.
draftable? That's a real question that we have to.
No, he'll be in the radio callers dumb drafts. I'm going to take Eagles Shirley #1 overall.
Kevin, I'm so mad because I came up on my snake picks here and I was
Yeah.
really excited because you
Yeah,
know what was going to go.
I know.
I'm going to take his former co-host though because I think that now listen, I think that there's a lot of value here. Harry Mays is a very popular guy, and the one thing that you have to keep in mind with Harry Mays, who is my selection here in the second round, is Harry Mays is adaptable. I don't think he's the guy who leads the show, but you think of all the different iterations that he's gone through, working with Bruno, working with Brace, working, I believe, with Marks, working with Shander. Like, you think about some of the egos that he's worked with. Oh, and hell, he was with Gargano for a bit in the One Morning Show. So like, Mays to me is just so adaptable. So Harry Mays is like the ultimate utility player, and some people think that utility guys should be drafted late. I happen to think that there's a ton of value here at the end of the second round. So now we go to the judge.
He's
Judge
more of
Seidel.
He's more of a Jason Worth than a Tomas Perez. Like, he's a jack of all trades, but he could get the big contract on his own. Like, he won't be exposed by being the lead man.
Yeah,
It's a good pick.
All right, Judge Keidel. Thank you, Judge Keidel. Let's go to you.
We were having such a good time, weren't we? Just a round ago, I thought we were having a great time together. And after the second round, I'm a little worried. It's about to get weird, pretty obviously. So I'm just going to hang in and see what happens.
Can you define why you think it's going to get weird?
Well, I'm not going to tip my hand in terms of where I'm going to rule on this thing, but one of these teams has two heavy-duty, loud personalities, pretty much narcissists who were each other's throats, if I remember correctly, at the station they worked at together at the same time. And, you know, notoriety is all well and good, but you also want the station not to get set on fire or not to have somebody get shot. So, yeah, I think it's going to get real interesting real soon, and I think we should go on to the third round.
All right, so that takes it, I guess, to me for the second half.
Hagen's going to go after Jolly.
Ooh, yeah. Get
Jolly.
Teenage Dirtbag playing. Let's go.
So
Little
I can't-
Wheatus for you.
That's right. His favorite song, little known fact.
I've really struggled with this because there's one guy who was in a lot of legal trouble, but has landed on his feet, and he's landed on his feet to the north.
No,
And I think
no,
there's
you're
real
not.
value
I love
here.
it.
Oh,
I
this
love
is
this pick,
good.
Russ. I
Dude,
absolutely
this is
love it.
Smart.
What a pick.
I'm going to take Craig Carton.
This,
Wow, what a pick.
That's a great.
Craig
That is the
Carton.
smartest thing Russ has ever done.
Yeah. Now, is this the version of Craig Carton that got sued by the Flyers? Are we going with that, Craig Carton?
I'm going to go with Craig Carton at his peak. You can define
Are we
his peak.
going civil? Are we going civil complaint or criminal complaint, Craig Carton?
Yeah, which infraction, which legal issue, Craig Carton, are we going with in this one? Embezzlement, securities fraud, Carton, or libel, slander, Carton?
All right, let's go. Kevin, you're up next.
I just
The
want to say,
second
I
pick of
think
the
it's
third round.
I think it's funny, Russ, how you got Glenn and Harry, and I ended up with Ray and Bruno. So we split up the two pairings there. Go figure. I'm
Now you could trade now.
I don't know. I kind of like my
I don't know.
selections.
I don't know about trades. I actually feel okay about this.
I like my
Maybe.
selections.
We could
yeah.
look at the end.
Listen, I could go in a number of directions here, but I like different things and innovation and trying things a little bit differently to break up the Philadelphia sports talk radio monotony of programming it the same way they've been programming it for 30 fucking years or however long it's been. So I'm going to go with somebody who's doing something different in the mornings at 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm going to go John Kincaid.
No relation.
The name.
No relation. No relation.
It's a Freudian pick. Russ, are you open to trading Glenn Mack now?
It really would have to depend on the value. Probably not, but I'm always open for business.
I would give you Missinelli and my last round So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I give you my 4th round snake on the way back. So you get to pick 3 picks earlier for Mac now. I'll swap picks. I'll swap 4th round swap.
So you want to know if I would pass up the guy I made the #1 overall pick, who is widely beloved in the city, for a narcissistic asshat?
Mhm.
No, I'm gonna turn that one down.
And a
Snake
4th
is
rounder.
Yeah,
Snake
by
is
the
an
way,
apt
guys,
word for
the
the person
narcissistic-
involved in that trade.
You
the
can be buying
narcissistic.
Kirby. I mean, like you got the
Snake.
Mike
What?
Missinelli wine, the Mike Missinelli wine club. Like you could be getting big time value here if that thing hits.
Yeah.
That's right.
You're getting a business in Mike. But by the way, the narcissistic asshat drives ratings and revenue, right?
True.
He also is his own worst enemy and is about to probably tank his own career because he can't keep his mouth shut on Twitter. And by the way, if we took everything into account, including like, I don't know, times that he, films a TV show and is absolutely rude and horrible to somebody who he used to work with, as well as the people who produce the show, I just don't want him at my station.
Glenn
Russ,
Macnell's the one off the show at Chickies and Pete's.
Russ, you
The
could
next-
take that extra pick though that Kyle's offering, and you could turn it into Tobias Harris.
Mm.
Or I could have just, made the simple selection and had Mikal Bridges and not had to worry about any of it. That would have been fine. Could have gotten the same value for a whole lot less money.
All right,
All right,
so
let's
do
go
you
to Bob.
accept the trade? You do not accept the
No,
trade?
I decline it. But Kyle, if you have another creative thought at some point, by all means, I will gladly hear you out.
The
Okay.
next picture of Mike Missinelli on MikeMizVentures.com is going to be him with an Afghan draped over his shoulders. As everyone has said, he looks like everybody's grandma that has ever existed in the history of mankind.
You guys are getting into it, huh?
Maybe it'll be a picture of him outside his house in Strathmere. It's one of the 8 people who have a house in
Wow.
Strathmere.
Wow. All right, Bob, let's go to you before. I don't know why the judge hasn't banged the gavel at this point. I don't know if he's afraid to put that hammer through his desk or what, but we're so beyond point of order. Go ahead, Bob.
I'm enjoying it.
All right, I'm
enjoying
actually gonna keep it simple here. Taking a couple older gentlemen here. So I actually am gonna go younger. A guy that I actually was surprised to learn is younger than I am. But I think that he's actually on his way up in the market, whether it's actually here or maybe eventually in New York where he follows his old program director. But I'm going Joe Giglio, man. Listen, I know that people are a little bit torn on him. I know that he can be a little bit takey, but I wrote this in a piece I think that Kevin did. He is kind of provocative. Like, he may have a take that pisses you off, but he makes you think through it. He can challenge conventional wisdom. He was one of the first people in the city to just bury Carson Wentz, said it was a mistake after the Super Bowl. It drove everybody fucking crazy. He was right. And he's often more than he is wrong. So I'm going Joe Giglio.
It's a good pick, Bob. I really
Bob
is.
had to get a Carson Wentz dig in there too.
Kyle, we're
Right,
back
the
to you.
maestro. The maestro's
Yeah.
up.
All right, so I got Mike Missinelli and Josh Innes right now. It's like a lot of personality, a lot of baggage, a lot of ratings. I'm gonna settle things down a little bit. Gonna go with Steve Martirano. Recreate a little S&M.
Wow.
Excellent
Well,
show.
Mm.
Yeah, that was circa.
Fun fact. I've had lunch multiple times with Steve Martirano about 6-7 years ago as a valued industry insider at Champs and King of Prussia. Interesting guy.
So wait a minute.
Now,
Let me-
Russ, just so you're aware, Russ, Steve Martirano was a radio host
I appreciate that.
in
Thanks,
Philadelphia.
Coach.
Okay, all right.
So
Okay.
I say that I sit next to Howard Eskin at the Phillies, and that makes me a kiss ass. But you name drop that you used to go to TGI Fridays with Steve Martirano, and that's fine.
It was like, I don't have anything to gain from that now. In fact, if
I
you
have
were,
a lot to gain from a guy that comes and watches the Phillies for 3 innings and says the product sucks and leaves.
if he were to, if Steve were to even see this, which I don't know if he would, but when we included him, I don't think he would like that. When we included him in the Philly Field of 64, he respectfully asked that he be removed from it because he didn't want to be associated as being a Philly radio host. He's also the Gargano Whisperer. Fun fact. But S&M was a good show. S&M was a good show. Undeniable, excellent, all-time Philly Sports Talk radio show, and I now have it on my station.
I need to jump in now. very quickly. I think Kyle might be conflating Steve Martirano and Steve Fredericks because the S&M show.
Fuck!
Mike Missinelli
Oh no!
and Steve Fredericks. And as a
What a
man
draft
of a certain
blunder.
age, I know this because I'm not a child. So, given that as a fact, are you sticking with Martirano?
No. He already made the pick. He made the pick. You do not bail him out. That's not how
You
this
can let
works.
him pick
He
it.
submitted the pick. No, he submitted the pick.
I am pretty sure Martirano appeared with Missinelli for a time.
All right, so
That
he's
doesn't make it the S&M show with Martirano.
You're right.
Though.
You're right. It does not.
Fredericks.
It does not. However, Martirano was the person I was thinking. It was not Steve Fredericks. So I got S&M wrong.
Okay.
And you're right. Fredericks was the guy. But I actually like the Missinelli and Martirano show better. I believe they were on together. It was a very Italian show, right?
Oh, Gargano.
Martirano was also on Gargano, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Ah,
And Mac now. Yeah.
yeah, Gargano and Martirano worked together probably like early 2000s.
okay. So let's go to Coggin for the last pick of the third round. Cog.
All right. Well, that was a bit of a blunder by Kyle, but I would have enjoyed Martirano. But I maybe in the start of the fourth round, I'll take advantage of his blunder there. But to round out the third round, I'm going to go with a man. This is a bit of a reclamation project, a high elite prospect that is a bit down on his luck nowadays, but once was pretty much projected as the man in Philadelphia sports talk radio. I'm going to go Mark Farzetta.
Wow.
Yes, Mark Farzetta. Anyone that screws over Angelo Cataldi is always good in my book. I think he got a raw deal with 97.5, bringing in Kincaid. I like the value of him. We're going to build him back up. Think of this is like a Markelle Fultz trade for the Magic. He's got a bit of a hitch in his shot. We're going to build him back up. He's going to be right back on top, minus the torn ACL that Markelle suffered. But that's all right. Mark Farzetta to round out the third round.
All right, let's go to the judge. Judge Keidel, where do things stand at the moment?
Things are really rounding into shape, and for some of you boys, it's not rounding into a very happy shape at all. So let's see what happens next.
All right, Coggin, you're back on the clock.
All right, I'll make this quick, and I will take up Kyle's blunder here, and I will say Steve Fredericks. I did enjoy his work with Missinelli. There you go, and we'll keep this moving. We'll keep it going quick. Start of the fourth round. Stevie F,
trade?
my boy.
You want to trade? I totally screwed. I forgot Martirano.
Fredericks for Martirano?
I even said that he was the Gargano whisperer. I know he's close with him. In my head, he was on with Missinelli too. He was not. That's a bad cock-up.
I was gonna go either Martir. I was gonna go one of the Steves. I'll stick
You
with.
want to switch?
I'll
You
stick
wanna
with
switch?
Fredericks. I'll stick with Fredericks.
All right. So now it goes to Kyle. Kyle, second pick of the fourth round.
Whew. Jody Mack. Mack.
Wow.
Jody Mack. A good pick.
Good pick.
It is a
Good
good
pick.
pick.
Russ, you want to talk trade? I got Mack in the offing here.
All right. Well, that is interesting.
Who do you want?
Kyle wants to deal. Look at him. He wants to deal. He's so hungry.
I need
have
a
to tell you-
power show. If you,
Kyle, I gotta say,
Mack.
I honestly feel good about my side. I'm
Who
sorry,
do you want?
Bob. I'll go to you.
Okay. So here's a guy. When you talk about an ex-player coming into the Philadelphia media market, listen, Ike Reese is my next pick. He's a guy that honestly I think has really grown over the last number of years. Good football mind. Really knows how to talk basketball, baseball. I think he's really gotten better over the last number of years. I think he's very entertaining, insightful guy. Respect his opinion a lot, which I can't say about a lot of these guys on the radio in this market. So I'm all over Ike Reese here in the fourth.
Hey, Bob, are you including his opinion on how dinosaurs didn't exist?
No, we're doing
Okay.
sports. We're just doing
Just
sports.
check.
That's right.
He doesn't
That's
think
right.
dinosaurs existed.
Here comes Kyle after just getting pie on his face. Now he's got to try to suck everybody down into the mud with him. I know. That's
I'm
fine.
not sucking you. I'm just pointing out that, like Kyrie
That's
Irving
absolutely
thinks the world is flat, Ike Reese does not think there were dinosaurs.
Before my selection, I just want to play a brief soundbite for you.
Personal auto insurance question.
Oh, no.
Oh, he blew it.
Oh,
it's
now he
over.
screwed up.
All right. That's a cuz checking in for us.
I love that I love that passion on this team.
I don't
right
get it. The cuz is taken. What are you taking? D-line over something? Was that a
No.
That's it?
No, I just wanted to play it. I couldn't think of another time to stick it in there, so I just wanted to get that into podcast at some point. I'm going to break the WIP in 97.5, the Fanatic mold, and I'm going to go to somebody who I would consider a friend of the website, a friend of Crossing Broad, who has me on. He has Bob on. I think Coggin has been on before. We're going to go down to 97.3 ESPN in Atlantic City for Mike Gill.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
All right.
not where I thought you were going with that.
Oh, all right. Interesting.
I was hoping he was hanging around in the 5th. I was hoping we could get one more round there.
Yeah,
So,
it's a Jordan Mailata type of pick right there.
So it's fitting that this should happen. And it's fitting that I had the long game in mind because I'm about to get the best value of any episode of Dumb Drafts. Because we have to keep in mind that it's Philadelphia Sports Radio, which means a show that is aired on Philadelphia Sports Radio or has been. And there is a dynamic duo that preceded John Kincaid and preceded Anthony Gargano. And so with my next 2 picks, I will be taking Mike and Mike.
What?
Actually, it's terrible value. If you gave me 100 picks,
Wait. Russ,
Mike and Mike.
wait.
Mike and Mike. 100%.
Couple of things here. Russ doesn't
Yeah.
understand value. Mike Greenberg made like $9 million a year. It's like the opposite of value.
Mike
Oh, no,
Greenberg.
listen, I'm going
How do you
for
take them? You realize that was a
What's
national show that was syndicated, right?
absolutely. That's
That
totally
doesn't
fine.
count.
That's
That doesn't
hard.
count.
It was the morning show for 97.
No, make him keep it. Make him keep his terrible
Fine.
pick.
Yeah.
Make
This
him-
would be
That's
like
fine.
me
How is that a
taking
terrible
Ernie
pick?
Johnson.
You guys
Awful.
are missing, no.
Doesn't
See,
add up.
you guys are missing the mold. While you're trying to go down the turnpike to 97.3, I'm talking about a pair of talents who together were responsible for really building up ESPN Radio, who had national syndication, who had a TV show.
It's
This
not a
is like
Philly
Nick-
show.
It doesn't matter. It was on Philly radio. It was the Philadelphia Morning Show. Listen, let's not forget, guys, there was a time here where there were questions being asked of 97.5 why they didn't get into the race against Angelo and why they didn't use local talent.
Russ,
I'm just saying.
you realize that would be like choosing Peter Jennings for our Philly TV anchors thing. Like it doesn't work.
And it was a totally workable thing.
It's like
And I know
picking Rush
listening-
Limbaugh because he was on PHT, like syndicated on like
The people who
400.
are listening to the show are going to understand, and they're
Russ
going
will
to.
take Howard
That's
Stern.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
God. All right. All right.
Good
It's a
pick,
high-
Russ.
the fact that you guys don't see the value in it is absolutely ridiculous, ludicrous, and I think it just speaks of the jealousy of not having thought of it yourselves. All right, let's
Probably
go
'cause
to
the show sucks too.
No.
Sorry, Mike and Mike.
All right, Phil, we'll go to you for
Subway
the
Fresh Take Hotline.
Well, I predicted it would get weird. I never, ever in a million years thought we would hear Mike 1 or Mike 2, much less Mike and Mike in the morning, which has been pointed out was never a Philadelphia show. But, you know, GMs do things, station managers do things you don't always understand. We have 4 picks left. I have some hope that we're going to finish this a little stronger than we were in the last 2 rounds, and so let's see it happen.
we go back to
All right,
Kevin.
I'm back on the clock. Listen, there's a lot of really, really good people left. I want to continue showing respect to people who are doing some different things, trying to break the mold, go in a different direction in this market. And full disclosure, I am involved with this station with a little side gig, but I want to show some love to Sean Brace at The Gambler. And I'm going to take Sean with my final pick.
That's where I thought you were going last time. You zagged when you went Mike Gill.
I figured both of those guys would be around later, so I strategically waited.
Now we're back to Bob. Bob, your final pick.
Oh man, this is tough. There's some names on the board here that I wasn't expecting to see. Listen, I gotta say, I'm looking for a utility guy here. And if there's one guy in the Philadelphia sports radio market that is capable of working at any hour and working 442 jobs, and he loves to tell you about it on his Twitter account, that would be Eitan Shander. So I'm going Eitan with my pick. I can call up Eitan at 47 in the morning and tell him I need a live stream, a couple tweets, a video. I need, I'll do it all, man. Guy has 642 jobs. He might have just gotten another job since I made the pick.
I'm disappointed that he did not drop, Bob. Good pick.
All right, we're back to Kyle.
Russ.
Yeah.
Russ, what if I were willing to take one of the mics off your hands in exchange for Mac now? I could use Golick. I would use Golick. I would give you Missinelli and this pick, right? I'll give you pick swap rights. What can I do to get Mac now off your hands?
You can't. I actually can't believe the fact that you guys are so down on Mike. I want to be nice, okay? Because Eitan's a nice guy. Sean is a nice guy. Do we really think that Sean Brace or Eitan Shander could anchor a national radio show? No,
it's not
they
about
can't. Do we think that many of the fourth? Well, that's not the point though. The idea is these guys, talent-wise, and in terms of their reach, are not at the same level of that established culture of Mike and Mike. So I'm honestly I get that you guys think that it shouldn't count or whatever, but we're talking about a team that made a ton of money and that built a brand. So it doesn't even matter. Kyle, this pick doesn't matter.
If Mike Greenberg sat atop the Billy Penn statue for the next 3 weeks in order to gain awareness of the fact that he's launching his own Philadelphia sports talk radio station, I wouldn't listen to it for 1 fucking second. The dude sucks.
Russ saying he built a brand. A piece of toast could have built a brand on ESPN. They owned the airwaves. It was ESPN in kind of its heyday.
And they had real staying power. They didn't get split up earlier.
Golick, last thing. Anything I can do to get Golick?
No, because they're teaming together.
Okay.
Sorry, Kyle.
All right. So I'm gonna go with Philly hockey legend, consummate nice guy, corn aficionado, Keith Jones.
Jonesy's
Jonesy's funny guy.
It's a good pick.
Excellent sidecar on a morning show. Excellent.
And now we go to, I guess, what the final pick, Mr. Irrelevant, I guess, in this case, but probably not irrelevant to Cog. Go ahead, Cog. Or it could be, by the way, could be Miss Irrelevant or Mrs. Irrelevant as well.
That's true.
So
let's think. Yeah. Okay. So I'm sure Mike and the Mad Dog have been at least talked about on the radio station, so they're still available. Let me think here.
They were a guest once.
Yes, and they're still on the board. Russ didn't take them with his last pick, so let's see. I'll go with the ultimate sidekick. One of the sidekicks that has been around in Philadelphia for decades as part of the most successful Philadelphia sports talk radio show. I'm going to say Al Morganti. Wow. Why not? Last pick in the fifth round. I had a good hockey guy, funny. He's got to put up with Angelo for decades upon decades. Definitely had a disdain for Wing Bowl that I always enjoyed. Last pick of the draft, Al Morganti.
So here's what Al and Rhea had working against them in this draft, right? If we were to do a field of 64, both of them would have been, and I'm sure, I know Al used to be a 2 seed. Rhea was a top 4 seed, I want to say, right? The problem is they're so attached. Angelo they are attached to Angelo, right? And Al probably would have been a 2nd round pick, right? Rhea would have been a 3rd or a 4th round pick, right? I think that would have happened. But you have to pair them with someone. They need a pairing. So who are you pairing Al with?
Well, that's why he's a 5th round pick. A lot of value for a 5th round pick.
Who are you pairing him with?
I'd have to go back and look at my selection. I mean,
Like, I thought about
he
pairing out
fills
with
in.
Josh Ennis, but you can't do it. It wouldn't work.
Hey, look,
Well,
he
so
fills in for Cataldi when Cataldi's out. He's shown he's capable of leading a show on his own. So I think you could say that again.
You could tell he hates it. He does not.
Yes.
Feel it.
Is that right?
All right,
Nothing wrong with a second banana.
Hold on a second. Now, before Phil makes his decision of which two are going to go to the final, do we want to have our lineups presented to him as morning, midday,
Yes.
and afternoon? Okay.
Yes. Go ahead, Russ.
All right. So I think this one is pretty cut and dry. Obviously, I'm going to go Mike and Mike in the morning, without a doubt. I'm going to put Harry Mays with Glenn McNow in the afternoon, and I'm going to go with Craig Carton in the midday. So again, Mike and Mike in the morning, Craig Carton midday, Glenn McNow, and Harry Mays in the afternoon.
Let the record show.
Do I understand that to mean that you have no PM drive host?
No, I said the afternoon. The afternoon is McNow
2 to
and
6.
So you'll have Carton from 2 to 7 or something.
no, Carton's from 10 to 2. We're only doing morning, midday, and afternoon, I believe.
No. Okay. So morning is 6 to 10. Midday is 10 to 2. Afternoon is 2 to 6 or 2 to 7. So you're putting Carton in the afternoon slot.
No.
So let who's going 2 to 6?
2 to 6 is McNow and Mays.
All right. I thought you said they were middays. Okay. So you're putting Craig Carton on from 2 to 12. So let the record show, Russ, of his 5 picks, he drafted 3 national morning guys.
I have all the clarification I need. I'd like to hear.
I'm going with high upside guys.
Yeah, Kevin.
You know, you guys, by the way, like Giglio getting picked as like maybe he'll go to the fan, like hasn't been proven out yet. I took a guy who has already made it to the fan. So like I don't know. I don't know what we're doing.
Russ is drafting 16-year-old Ukrainian kids because they have lymph. I'll figure out what to do with them later.
I'm going to have John Kincaid solo host my morning show, No Phone Calls. Scott from Barrington is out. Butch from Manioc is out. Kenny from the Dirty 30 is out. I don't want to hear from any of them. We're going to do Bruno and Sean Brace from 10 to 2. And then we're going to have Ray Diddy and Mike Gill host PM Drive on the Kinker Radio Network.
So, Kevin, wait. You got Bruno and you got Kincaid, 2 old school Philly guys, and you don't pair them in the morning?
I got to make sure my talent is like adequately dispersed throughout. You know,
what was
I can't
your afternoon show again?
That's your anchor show.
What was your afternoon show?
10 to 2?
No, morning.
No, PM Drive is more important than morning.
Himself for 6 hours at 6 a.m.?
Isn't PM Drive? Don't we believe the PM Drive is more important than morning drive?
No, because the morning feeds into the midday show. The midday show gets whatever ratings the morning show gets.
Well, I would just say that it's my radio station, and if you don't like it, you can program your own radio station, draft your own people.
All right, let's go to Bob. Bob, go ahead.
So I'm going to go Cataldi in the morning. I don't think I have to explain why that's a good idea. Midday show, I'm going Eskin, and I'm pairing him with Shander. And then I'm coming back in the afternoon drive time, and I'm going Giglio and Reese.
Wow, there's a lot going on.
Midday. I think your shows are out of order there. I didn't have Howard Eskin and not put him on in the afternoon.
I think Bob's a nitwit and a moron and a dope for drafting Angelo and Howard back to back.
All right, Kyle, you're next. Can't wait to see how.
Again, to put Angelo without sidekicks, like this is just reckless behavior by you guys. Watch, here's what a thoughtful. I'm not thrilled with my talent, but watch what the coach does here with what
You're the one who drafted the talent, and you're not thrilled.
I'm not.
Coach Camille.
I picked the wrong Steve. Morning show. Josh Ennis and Keith Jones. Tell me how fun that show would be.
It's a good morning show. It's not bad.
Good morning.
Keith would be willing to play Robin the Batman. He'd go along with some of the chicanery. So that's the morning show. In the afternoons, I'm going to go Jody Mack and Steve Martirano middays. Excuse me, Jody Mack, Steve Martirano middays. Nice relaxing afternoon lunchtime listening. And then the king of afternoons, Mike Missinelli. Your boy Mikey Miss coming at you. You get Josh Ennis Keith Jones, midday show, very thoughtful, good, solid sports talk. Steve Martirano, Jody Mack, Italian, Irish. You're going to get all of the Northeast and South Philly to listen. And then Mike Missinelli is going to own the ratings in the afternoon. I win the ratings.
I love to hear the Missinelli Ennis crossover. You really missed
There is
that.
none.
No, he's saying you missed an opportunity, which is 100% correct.
Derek, can I?
It's like WIP back in the day. I was at Flanagan's Boathouse when Howard threw water on Angelo Cataldi on the Great Sports Debate as a scrapping 13-year-old. I was watching them in person. You put the morning guy and the afternoon guy, and they hate each other, and they talk about each other, and they never have to interface except on the cheap local cable show.
Can I just say that
I gotta go.
it's an absolute travesty that Mike and Mike were drafted in this, but Ricky Ricardo, Big Daddy Graham, and Rob Ellis, and some other WIP veterans. Russ decided to go with two national dope.
You could make a case for Big Daddy Graham. Please, for the love of God, don't try to get me started on like Rob Ellis. Seriously.
Mike and Mike.
Say that we're going to pair
Mike and Mike in the morning
lineup. That's a real powerhouse show.
That is a John Gruden kind of pick, man. That's awful.
Dumb Phil, who are your picks? I have to go. I might need someone to make a case.
All right. Well, I'll run through.
Who are your top two, Phil?
In the morning, I will. It's all right. Well, all right. Whatever. Kyle, Phil, you can pick, I suppose.
No, go.
Coggin didn't get to build his lineup. Coggin, go quick.
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
All right. Morning. Farzetta, Morgani slide perfectly in the morning together. Old Head 10-2 show, Gargano and Fredericks, and then keep John Marks in the 2-6 spot. Everyone seamlessly slides into their roles on 92.9 FM The Sack.
The leader, the sports leader.
Now, I think that because Kyle's lineup is garbage, he can probably just top off. He's not going to be one of the
I
final
need to hear Phil's top two picks.
Phil, who are you top two?
Then
Am I really? You really want to hear it?
Yeah, to the top two have to make their case to you, so you got to give the top two.
No, I've already heard all I need to hear. The top two are Kyle and Bob.
Wow.
Who's the
winner?
Kyle picked the wrong person. Gets in the top two.
This is horrific.
Yeah, and I'm gonna.
This is what happens when we don't go with better judges.
I'm going to explain to you how he saved it if you want to hear it. But do you want to hear the bottom three and why they're in the bottom three first, or do you want me to go to the top two first?
I go to top two because I really do have to go. I got like 1 minute.
All right. Well, this pains me. And Bob had this thing won until he messed up his personnel. Kyle is our winner. But let me explain why Bob messed up his personnel. And Kyle alluded to it. You can't possibly, pick Howard Eskin and not have him in Drive. Howard Eskin owned Drive for 20-odd years. He was one of the preeminent radio personalities in this city for longer than some of you have been alive, Russ. And so as a result, not to have him in afternoon drive cost Bob this game. Now, here's how Kyle saved his own bacon. He split Ennis and Missinelli, which was genius. I would agree. And Missinelli is an indisputable afternoon king, especially right now. Okay.
He's not even winning in the afternoons right now. What are we talking about?
Marks and Reese are winning.
Are we talking about today, Russ? We're talking about a body of work. You brought in a nationally syndicated show, and you're going to tell me that Missinelli is not.
Russ brought in a show that doesn't exist anymore. Russ's show doesn't exist anymore.
Fine. So you have Missinelli in the afternoon, you have Ennis in the morning, and Martirano, while he seemed like a pick that didn't really fit and actually was an error, sticks up very well with Jody Mack. Jody Mack and Martirano is the classic idea of a smooth transition from your morning, firebrand, and then it calms down for that listener base from 10-2, which trends a little older, which trends a little calmer. You get them in there. Plus, I love Jody Mack. And then you bring it on to Missinelli, and you're home. So Kyle wins this thing, and it pains me because I was going to bury him for the whole Martirano fiasco. But his deployment of his personnel was the best of the whole group, and that's why he won.
A program director's got to work with what he's got, just like a good coach. May have made a drafting mistake, but you get a fun morning show, and then Phil made the rest of the case.
I think you got lucky. Kyle, I think you got lucky, but sometimes that happens.
I had a plan.
Half of my drive time radio show is currently kicking Missinelli's ass in the ratings as we speak. Just throwing that out there.
Very accurate. Totally accurate.
How long has that been the case? How many books has that show won?
I think we're on multiple years now. I mean,
Are we counting the streaming ratings or the fact that Mike Missinelli has like a frog leading into him? I don't even know who's leading into him. He's just got like someone who just croaks into the mic.
I think it's Gargano, actually.
Because
You know.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, so we have the judge who
I gotta
doesn't know
go,
the
guys.
ratings, and the guy who ultimately wins is the one who doesn't know that the cuz leads into Missinelli. Good.
I
So-
know my history. I'll see you guys.
Listen, I know I railed against Kevin for pulling out the Emmy before, but geez Louise. All right, so Judge Keidel, who had the middle of the road draft, who was the bubble to potentially make it into the top 2?
I took Coggin at 3rd. I love the Gargano pick from the jump. After that, it got a little bit reachy. I like John Marks. He's very, very good. I just thought at 6th overall, there were other talents to be taken, but that's not a swipe. I mean, I think Marks is probably a 2nd-round pick. He's just maybe not the first pick in the 2nd round. After that, though, you take Fredericks and Morgani, neither of whom can really carry anything on their own, and who are, frankly, both kind of curmudgeons. And I think you can have one curmudgeon on a channel, but I'm not sure you can have 2. And as for Mark Farzetta, I liked Mark Farzetta. I enjoyed his show, but you can't kind of overlook the fact that he was given a really prime piece of real estate in Philadelphia. And whether it was fair or not, he didn't hold it. So that's why Coggin's team is 3rd.
me and you,
All right,
Mark,
so then-
forever.
We know where this is going, but go ahead with 4 and 5.
Who do you want me to say first, 5th or 4th?
It doesn't matter.
Well, let's go 5th place, which is Russ. Let's talk about Russ's group, if we could. Now, Glenn Macnow is an amazing person from everything I know. I've never met the man, but everybody loves him, okay? But he's not somebody who can carry a show by himself. He and Didinger have a wonderful show together, but it's a weekend show. And he had a lot of success midday, but he had help with that too, which we alluded to. And so for Glenn Macnow to go 1st overall, I would love for Glenn to chime in on Twitter and ask if he thinks he should have been the 1st overall pick in this draft. I'm not sure he would.
But he's not alone in the. I didn't program him alone. I put him with Harry Mace, who's the consummate number 2 guy alongside.
Well, your programming is another thing that I have a serious challenge with for the reason I'm about to allude to. Greenberg and Golick made you the last team in this draft just by virtue of being named. They're not Philadelphia guys, okay, first of all.
Neither is Angelo Cataldi.
Except Angelo Cataldi has had his own show on Philadelphia radio for decades. Greenberg and Golick are national personalities who are syndicated into this market. That is not who we were building this entire dumb draft around. And so for you to bring a syndicated show in and use 2 of 5 picks on them is a level of insanity that I just wasn't prepared for. And I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. And when you were making the argument for why it made sense that Greenberg and Golick would be a good pick for this draft, I think you hanged yourself and, play it back. It made less and less sense the more you talked. It was very Billy Madison.
they also hate each other now too, which is another very.
Well, I was going to mention that.
Well,
but
we're going for the apex, though. In fairness.
Yeah, that's true.
And then on top of that, can you really count on Craig Carton to show up? You have him from 10 to 2. I'm not sure he's ever going to be there between his lawsuits and his jail times. Like, you're going to have substitute radio hosts in every time Carton's programmed at least once or twice a week. I'm not comfortable with that as a radio programmer. So that's why you finished 5th. And
So
the
that
Raptors,
gave you pause, but Josh Ennis lighting himself on fire, every month or so, once or twice every, quarter. That's not an issue. Missinelli punching a producer, having multiple complaints against him from a number of producers over there. Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Russ, I don't know how else to put this, right? I mean, Kyle did make the point that ratings and money matter. And Ennis, while his star burned out here very, very quickly, at his peak, he was really something. And frankly, in about the 2nd round was where he should have gone. Kyle took him there, and that's where it worked out. You're never going to be able to pull this Golick and Greenberg thing out of the fire. You could sit here on this show for another 2 hours. It's never going to make sense to anybody but you. Finishing this up, we have Kevin in 4th. I like Ray Didinger a lot, and I understand that he's being paired with Gil from 2 to 6, if I have that correct. But I'm not sure Ray Didinger is an afternoon personality. He strikes me as more of a morning guy, not just because of age, just because of his intellectual, not bombastic affect. I think he probably fits more in a morning or a midday. Yeah, I like Sean Bracey, who's a solid value in the 5th round. I was never the biggest Tony Bruno guy. And I will point out that Tony Bruno has had more jobs than just about anybody you could ever. If you look up his Wikipedia career page, it just goes on because he sticks and then he doesn't stick and he's somewhere else. And I also can't really overlook what's going on with Tony Bruno in the current day, even if you want me to. So that is my ruling, and that's all I have to say on it.
So let us know what we got right. Let us know what we got wrong. You can follow us over on Twitter at Dumb Drafts. And of course, you can watch the show over on youtube.com/CrossingBroad, where you can find the playlist of the Dumb Drafts episode. And let us know what you think. You can also send us, if you're long-winded or if you don't like social media, you can also send us an email, dumbdrafts@gmail.com. So let us know what we got right. Let us know what we got wrong. And let us know what we should debate next. Thanks for checking in. We'll be back next week with another Dumb Draft.